Hey everyone, welcome back. Welcome back. Last week was very interesting with our topic. This week's topic is another good one. We're talking about accountability, accountability from a woman's perspective.
Hey y'all, it's your girl Chris.
And it's me, Landria. So before we begin, I just want to read a post that my cousin had posted, and I found the topic to be quite interesting. So the topic that he had posted was, this is what it reads. This is what accountability looks like. It was from a young lady, and she gave her account of what she feels accountability looks like. All of my exes are now married, which might conclude that I've always dealt with decent quality men, but maybe I wasn't marriage material at the time, nor ready for anything that serious. I'm woman enough to think back on my stuff though, see the errors in my ways and change. We as women need to put our pride and arrogance to the side and try to do better versus always playing the victim and not being accountable for our crap. It only helps us. I agree with this 100%.
Oh yeah, for sure. 100%.
I totally agree with it. I think she is spot on. I feel that she's right. It is a habit of most women. We do play the victim. We do not take accountability of our percentage in certain situations. It can be as simple as, I wasn't ready at the time. You know, it could be as simple as, I really don't want to be in the relationship, whatever it may be. But we all have some degree of a percentage of accountability in everything we do. I agree with her 100%. What do you feel, Chris?
No, yeah, I agree with her 1,000%. I feel like, especially when you go through different stages in your life, you learn more about yourself and you learn more about your partner, what you want to accept, what you're willing to accept. And so I feel like you do learn different stages of accountability as you grow, as you get older, and it's important to take a step back and look at that. Because I feel like even if you take a step back and look at your accountability and what you could do differently in any situation, it only betters you. It only makes you a better person at the end of the day.
And I agree.
So what do you have to lose?
Exactly. And I agree. And even her statement where she says how she's met decent men along the way. I can attest to that. I've met some really great guys along the way from when I first started dating in my late teens to adulthood. And during those times, I can honestly say I didn't know what I was looking for. And because I didn't know what I was looking for, I missed opportunities. I can 100% admit that I had opportunities to be with some really, really great guys that had I known what I know now, I would have been able to recognize the quality of the decent guy that I had. And I think a lot of us women have missed opportunities. And the same with men. Men have probably missed opportunities to be with some really great women because at that point in their life, they may not have been aware. They may not have even known what they want. They may not have even been looking for that at that time. And when they did realize what they want, in both male and females, we may have missed opportunities. So she's absolutely right. She's absolutely right 100%. And I think that when relationships may not work out, that is easier to blame the other person 100% instead of saying, okay, you know what? This is my part in why it didn't work out. So, and sometimes again, it's easy to blame the other person. It's much easier. It's much easier to blame the other person. It's much easier to say that men are all dogs. It's easier to say that there's no good men out there. But we have to take our part. So I agree for 100%.
Because you choosing the dogs. That's what that is. Men are all dogs, but you're choosing them. So
right.
What qualities are you looking for in them that you need to change? That's taking accountability.
Yes. Right, because we have many conversations, and you and I have conversations. We have conversations with girlfriends and whatnot. And one of the biggest things that I've noticed in conversations I've had with girlfriends is that we have conversations and they may talk, or we may talk about past relationships. And one of the common denominators that I see at times is that we as human beings, we're looking for a result. And when we're looking for a result, sometimes we repeat the exact same behaviors looking for a different result, which is crazy. But sometimes people are not able to identify within themselves how they are repeating the exact same behavior, looking for a different result. But you're not going to get a different result if you keep acting a certain way or being a certain way. Say, for an example, I'm going to give an example. You may want to be married, meet a great guy, have a great family or a blended family. And this is what you want. You also have to look at yourself, and this is how I feel. This is my opinion. You also have to look at yourself to be accountable of, okay, I want a great guy. I want a great family. I want us to have a blended family or start a family together. What am I bringing to the plate? What am I bringing to the table? Is my plate empty? Is my plate full? What am I bringing to complete this? We can ask for anything we want in life, but you have to take accountability within yourself. Are you ready for that? Are you, as a female, ready to be somebody's wife? Are you acting accordingly as wife material? Do you carry yourself as a wife? Mm-hmm. Are you prepared for compromise? Are you prepared to, be a stepmother if need be? Are you prepared to join finances? So it's other contributing factors you're looking in before saying, I want this, I want marriage, I want this. I think a lot of females, and this is in my opinion, they want the world, but they themselves may not be at that time, in that moment, in a position to even align themselves up for that.
Right.
That sometimes I feel that we don't, as women, just stop. Sometimes we have to learn to just stop. Meaning, if you're in one relationship and it doesn't work out, okay, I don't expect you to be depressed about it. At some point, you got to bounce back. And then you get a second relationship in a short period of time, say 2 months, you're dating somebody else, it doesn't work out. In a third relationship, it doesn't work out. At some point, you have to reevaluate yourself, right? Not the guys, you. Because there's got to be some common denominator between relationship 1, 2, 3 as to why it didn't work out, correct? Either you may be choosing the wrong guy, you may be behaving in a certain way that they may not like. You may think you're all that, but you're not giving that type of energy to the young man, right? You got to take accountability.
Exactly.
You have to do that. You have to just stop, pause, reflect on yourself. I think this young lady who wrote this, she's absolutely spot on. And sometimes our pride and egos get in the way. Some women have the impression like they're all that, they're the gift of God, they're attractive, they're this, they're that they're entitled to certain things. Now, she may feel she's entitled, but is she wife material? You could be attractive, have a sexy body, the biggest boobs in the world, small waist, big butt, whatever it may be. Does not make you wife material though, right? Because you can have, of course not. Right, you can have all the visual assets to you that a man will look at and be like, wow. But you may open your mouth and you curse like a sailor. You may not be able to keep a house. You may not be able to cook, clean, raise kids, none of that. See what I'm saying? You may not be able to manage the finances. Is your
my definition of wife material may not be someone else's definition. So I don't know. That's subjective people. I really do believe
that's true.
I really do believe, like, to each his own. So whatever you feel your marriage, wifey material, husband material is, that's totally up to you. But about, accountability, I think it's important that people learn or look at the steps to learn or to know about accountability. Like a lot,
Mhm.
it's easier said than done to be accountable for yourself. You know, especially in our generation, we weren't taught these things. We didn't, you know, it was more like we got in trouble. We were, you know, whooped into accountability. So it's kind of like we kind of stay away from it, you know, at our older age because we were
Mhm.
beaten for it. So I think we have to learn to look at it as something that's a positive thing. People may
Mhm.
not like to say I'm sorry because it's like, you know, they feel weak or, you know, it's why not say I'm sorry? You know what I mean? But
Mhm.
saying I'm sorry shows accountability, shows that
Yes.
you take responsibility what you did what
Mhm.
you said. And I also feel like in every situation, you both parties play a role.
Yes.
Both parties are accountable for something that happened or went wrong or went well in a
Mhm. Mhm.
situation. You
Mhm.
just have to step back and look and see what that is. But that's the
Yeah.
first step. The first step is to step back and to see what it is. Look at the bigger picture. Look at the entire situation. What
Mhm.
could you have done differently to make the situation better? That's also taking accountability.
Mhm. Mhm.
But like I said, girl, it is easier said than done.
No, and I agree. That's one of the hardest things. And it's not even a matter of looking at it whereas where did you go wrong? It's looking at it from the standpoint of how can I improve? What can I do differently that can have a better outcome? Do I have to tweak something within myself? You know, if I curse like a sailor, maybe I want to pull back from cursing like a sailor.
Then that's what I'm
If
saying. You're identifying what's
yeah,
wrong.
right,
And
but
curse like a sailor could be wrong in your
yes,
eyes. And so you want to take accountability, personal accountability for yourself, and then go ahead
mm-hmm,
and fix that and change that.
mm-hmm,
That's
right,
commendable.
and that's what is needed. And so she's absolutely right. I feel that she hit everything. She nailed it. She's right. We have to put our pride aside and our arrogance aside, and sometimes not always play the victim and improve ourselves. Everyone can improve in some area. We can. We all can. We
Well, they
can.
say the best thing to do for accountability is to see it, own it, solve it, and then
Yes.
do it,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Execute. So you
Yes.
see what the problem is, you own it. Man, I should have never did that.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I could do better.
Mm-hmm.
You solve it, you actually do better,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yes. Yes.
And you continue to execute.
Yes.
That's that's what it is. Well, a lot of people find difficulty in seeing their wrongs, though. A lot of people feel like they're right all the time in every situation. So it's very difficult.
And you know what? And it's strange because I had a conversation several months back. I must give a brief example. Several months back, I had a conversation, and I was having a conversation with a girlfriend, and the girlfriend was telling me something, her opinion about how she felt about something pertaining to uh, another young lady. And I had expressed to her what this young lady does and what these adults or grandparents do has nothing to do with you. And even though I was just giving her my opinion, where I was saying to her, you know, you can't control or even think about how another family, what they do with their money, how they spend the money, whose time they have. And she was going off and was cursing and carrying on and this and that and this and that and this. And then she proceeded to say to me how, you know, how this family is like this family is like that. And in the same breath, the same conversation, she's also saying to me how, she wanted to get married. She was planning on getting married. He was supposed to marry her and everything else. And I thought to myself, as I'm listening to her as her friend, I'm like, well, damn, if you reacted over something you don't like, in the manner how you reacted, where you've been completely off the handle, cursing, carrying on over something that has nothing to do with you and you have no control over, and it's not your household. Imagine being married to an individual and these are your in-laws and this is how you act. Is any man going to want to marry a woman that flies off the handle and curses like a sailor? They're not going to want to do that. They're not. and she had been with this gentleman, I want to say, got to be about 9 years, and he hasn't married her, hasn't even thought about it.
I mean, I don't think I don't know if that's the reason, because she cursed like a sailor.
I think it's more than that. I think it's her attitude. I think it's everything. I think it's everything. Her whole demeanor. I think but her demeanor has been just like that. Like her demeanor is, how can I describe it? Her demeanor is always
Why
angry.
is he with her? Why is he with her for all those years if he's
No,
you're
but that's the
practically a
thing.
domestic partner at this point? You're practically married in the
Well,
state.
no, when they met, he wanted a child. He wanted to get married, is what he had said, and they had a child first before marriage. And then he changed his mind. He changed his mind. So since then, it's been like a battle. And 9 years later, he still hasn't even thought about marriage or anything like that. But my question is that I've known her for quite some time, and as long as I've known her, she's always been exactly how she is now. Like angry, upset, gets upset very fast, feels like everyone's against her. Everything's a conspiracy. That's how she thinks. That's how she thinks. I've talked her off a cliff many times.
Oh,
And I'm her friend. And I and
sounds very negative.
yes, very negative. Everything's very negative. Everything is negative before positive. And as her friend, I can see anybody being a little like you kind of standoffish because they don't know what they're gonna get.
Mm-hmm.
But all these years, a couple of decades later, she doesn't identify if seen anything wrong with anything she does. Absolutely nothing. Everything's justified. Everything's justified.
Jeez.
She takes no accountability. And I've said it to her. I'm like, you don't think you're wrong? She would say no. Yep. She don't take no accountability for absolutely nothing. And it's everybody else's fault, but hers. Yeah. So there are some people out there that don't take accountability, that don't see that they're doing anything wrong, that it's everyone else's fault. I can even say probably maybe some narcissists are probably like that. They see nothing wrong in what they do.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
but
narcissist.
this is a great conversation. I wish we had a panel of women that were open and transparent to have this type of conversation.
Yeah.
To like just come on and say where along the way, like at what point along the way did they recognize that they got to take accountability in their actions?
For me, I could say for me, I realized in my later on in my life. Like I can look back now in my 20s and in my past relationships and take accountability in what I did. Even now, like in my adult life, I can step back and say, man, I don't want to behave that way. Or, I shouldn't have did that. Let me apologize for that. And even when I do that, it's still hard for me to apologize. It's still very difficult for me to do that. Because it's hard to take accountability. It's hard to see fault in yourself or fault in what you do every day. So you have to be a strong-willed or strong-minded person and say, damn, I messed up. Let me go fix that shit. Let me go, man, I'm sorry. I didn't. It takes a strong-minded person and the most confident and secure person to be able to be willing and so forthcoming with taking accountability in everything they do. And I commend that person. I really do, because I am still working on myself. And it is, I'm telling you, girl, it's hard. It's hard.
I mean, for myself, I want to say that I started taking accountability of my actions or involvement in anything. I want to say I started to truly understand what accountability means. I would say maybe about 15 years ago. I want to say about 15, a couple of years before my father passed, that I started to really like focus on accountability. Like now I can say I've really truly grown where, from past relationships, past friendships, I knew that some relationships probably should have never taken place. I know the ones that have taken place, if things didn't work out and whatnot, I can say, I can truly say that I can truly identify with what my real has been in why it didn't work out. Um, Friendships, I can say in friendships where I've made decisions to sever friendships or sever friendship ties that probably should have been severed years prior, but I took accountability of allowing certain behaviors to continue and not speaking on it. I know I do have to work on, and you've brought it to my attention several times, I have to work on being more vocal immediately when something rocks me the wrong way, instead of just letting it go. And then a few months later, like, okay, I'm done. Let's cut that person off. So I know that's something I have to work on, taking accountability of that action. And even when I get upset with my kids, I can get upset with my kids over something that triggers me. And if I know that I may have handled it or spoken in a manner that I probably should not have, it truly bothers me. And I have no problems, apologizing. Not apologizing for what they may have done, but apologizing for how I may have either spoken to them or handled the situation. I take accountability for anything like that. And if someone brings to my attention an action I may have done that they feel I was either insensitive or, hurt them in any way, I have no problems apologizing. Once you bring it to my attention, I'm made aware of it, then I will process it and I would apologize. Now, if I feel I'm not wrong and I stand my position, I'm going to stand my position as well too. But I apologize. I take full accountability for anything.
I mean, I guess it would be it depends on the situation, right? Because if it's a really bad argument or it's a real bad situation, and like, I guess that's when it becomes difficult to apologize. But no, if the other person is welcoming, it wasn't a big issue, and if they weren't aggressive or rude or disrespectful or anything like that, if the other person made it easier to communicate, then it would be no issues with.
No, and even with her letter, I can truly say, in my life, there's only, let me think. I would say maybe one. Is only two individuals I can say that I've ever dated that I missed out. That had I paid attention, they would have been great guys to actually start a life with. Only two. That if I would have known what I know now and identified with what I know now back then, I probably would have not even so much treated them. I probably would have treated them better, more fairly than I did. Yeah. There's only two that I can really say that are really decent guys. Like, it was two that were really good guys. Like, they're really good guys. You know how we don't see a person's good? You're young. You're young. You don't know what you want. You're ripping and running, and you can have something that people or parents would say, pay attention. Like, it's really nice. You're like, oh, whatever. Yeah, I can honestly say there's two individuals in my life that I did briefly date that were two really great guys. Until today, they're still really great stand-up guys. From what I know, they're really great stand-up guys that I had an opportunity, but at that point in my life, I just didn't want that. I didn't want that. I wasn't ready for that. I wasn't mature enough for that. And actually, I apologize. Three. I forgot about this one here, but three. It's three really great guys that I have to say that I did date briefly that were there. They were great guys back then. They were really nice, polite, considerate. I mean, great guys. And at that time in my life, I just wasn't ready for it. And even to today, like I said, they're really great guys now. And I do believe that all three, I know two are definitely married. I don't know about the third one, but even now, they're still really great guys. And I admire their wives because I know they have some great guys. They're some great husbands. Yeah. And I just didn't see it at the time, didn't want it at that time. And yeah. And I take accountability for that. I don't blame them or have regrets. I don't have any regrets, but yeah. at that time, like the young lady said, just weren't ready, weren't mature, didn't see it. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's why I was saying like it really does depend on what stage you are in life, how old you
Mhm.
are, what
Oh
you've been
yeah,
through, what you've
it does.
experienced. Yeah.
Mhm. It really does. It has a lot to do with it. And also it has a lot to do with, you have to, who you're associated with at that time. Because sometimes we can want something, and at the time, who were either around, could be girlfriends or whatever the situation may be, have influences on you when you're younger and stuff like that. So I was much younger, and yeah, I could say I had three great guys. I mean, really great guys that worship the ground I walked on. Yeah, worship the ground I
Oh,
walked
I had a couple got like that too. I'm sure we've all of us women,
on.
all us
Mhm.
good-hearted women have
Yes.
experienced something like that before, where we pass up on some really great guys for some
We pass
stupid
out.
childish reason or something like that. So
I
I'm
mean,
pretty sure.
the reasons were childish. The reasons were,
Yeah, of
it's the reasons were
course. Of
childish.
course.
You
Yeah, of
know,
course, girl. I can give you
it was
some
childish.
almost positive.
That's why when I read this, I was like, you're right, because childish reasons. Just it could be a matter of he wears the wrong color. I mean, stupid reasons.
Yeah,
His
yeah.
too nice. You know how they say his too nice,
Yeah,
or his
yeah.
too this, or his too
Mm-hmm.
much of a gentleman. Stupid reasons, like
Stupid
stupid.
reasons, knowing damn well.
Yeah,
We want
stupid
that
reasons.
now.
Listen, I'm telling you, that's why. Listen,
Telling you.
that's why I can say her letter, and I'm gonna read it again. Her post, what she posted. I'm glad that my cousin had posted it, but when I read it, I giggled. I was like, yeah, all women and men, but speaking on women, all women have some point have met that great guy, and we have either looked at him as his either too nice, too caring. We complain of his stupidest things. He calls too much. He taxes too much. Oh my God, he sends too many flowers. Oh my God, it's too nice. Oh, we complain of his stupid things. And then what happens? We let it go because we don't know no better, because we want Mr. Bad Guy over here. And then Mr. Bad Guy over here, what he does? Put us through every changes that could possibly put. Every change you can possibly put a human being through, they put you through. And then we appreciate the nice guy, but we've already screwed that up. So yes, we're gonna take accountability for that. We do.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, we do.
And I'm glad we grow into it.
Well, you know what? One more thing I want to say on this too is that
Well,
as a parent, for me now, having understood the errors of my ways and taking full accountability, that I'm glad I am mature enough to take responsibility, take accountability, claim my faults in anything, and be able to now take my own experiences and teach my daughter and even my son, but primarily my daughter, where now I can have those conversations with Sanaya and say, hey, listen, you know, this guy that likes you, he may be what you consider a nerd, but you know what? I can guarantee you about maybe 8 years from now, you're going to wish you dated him or hung in there. So I'm glad that her and I have an open relationship or we have communication where I can talk to her and let her know about my experiences, the good and the bad. Many good experiences, couple of bads, but many good ones, and there's good experiences. I talk to her about it openly. I tell her, and the same gentleman I just mentioned, I have talked to her and said, mommy had met in my lifetime, I can say, three really great guys. And this is what made them great. And this is what I know about them to today. And I'm sure their families are blessed to have them. You know, um, they've always been stand-up guys. And I've spoken to her about it and even tell her, I even try to educate her or give her the tools that she needs when she's out there, dating and whatnot, what to red flags to look out for, but also, look out for there's good qualities. There's good qualities. See, you don't appreciate what you have until it's gone.
I'm telling you, that's for everything.
Yeah.
But
No, but
accountability doesn't
no
mean just
regrets.
in relationships, though. It could just
It's
mean
everything.
in anything that you
Oh, yes,
do.
yes, yes.
You know,
Absolutely.
You could send the wrong email to the wrong person
Mhm.
at work.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? That's just taking accountability. Oops, I'm so sorry. I sent the wrong email. That's
Right,
taking
right.
accountability, you
Yeah,
know?
and
So,
I've sent taxes, like I have misunderstood, this is why I believe in conversation. You have like I prefer to talk on the phone than to hear taxing, because sometimes taxing gives you the wrong message or the wrong tone of the tax. So I have received tax that I misinterpreted to be something else and mean something else. And my response by tax has not really been that pleasant, in my response to that tax, because again, I might have misinterpreted the tax. I thought they meant something they didn't, and I have responded in a manner that I probably should not have. Um, and I'll be quick to say, you know what? Oops, my apology. I thought you meant blah, 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 blah. This is how I took it as this. Um, I see that you meant this. I apologize. You know what? I apologize. This is what I thought, you know, boom. I'm quick for that. I apologize in a heartbeat. Yeah, I take accountability for all my wrong actions and everything. I will. Yeah, I have. It's
yeah,
called
yeah,
growth.
yeah, yeah.
It's called growth. It
Listen,
can be
me
called,
too in my adult life. I
yes,
currently do,
yes, you have to.
to be honest.
And even in saying that, like she made a good point where she said, stop always playing the victim and whatnot. Not only do I take accountability, but I 100% believe in identifying, not even identifying, but acknowledging. That's it, acknowledging. I 100% believe in acknowledging when somebody is doing the right thing. For an example, my my ex-husband and I, Frankie, we have more downs than we do have ups. But in all fairness, in the last few years, we've had more ups than we have downs. And I truly see him trying, where it's more of a accountability. He's been taking a lot of accountability, and he has been, and I see it, teaching himself certain things, right? So the other day he did something that, no, so recently what he's been doing, when he says something now, what he says, he actually does it. And I've been noticing a pattern of him doing the right thing. So I was like, you know what? You see it. You see the guys doing the right thing. When he says he's going to do something, he's actually coming through for the kids and stuff like that. He's doing the right thing, blah, blah, blah. So I caught him off guard with it. I said, hey, let me talk to you real quick. I said, yeah, what's going on? And he automatically, I can tell, he was on the defense, like, oh man, I know I probably did something wrong. She's about to shoot me down. And I didn't. And I smiled and I said, I know you think I'm about to just probably shoot you down about something, but no, I want to let you know, I see. I see everything you're doing. I see how you've been interacting, communicating with myself, with the kids. I see your actions. I see how now what you say, you mean, your actions and all, your words and all matching with your actions. And I can see a sense of relief come over him, like an appreciation of, like, thank you. Like thank you. Like thank you. I appreciate it. And I can see how it changed his whole demeanor. And I felt good doing that. I did. I mean, I tell him thank you a lot all the time, every I give him his praise and whatnot. But I think that's another area where we as women have to do, is that we always bash the man for when the man does wrong. That comes second nature to women. We can bash a man when he does wrong. We can bash ex-husbands, baby daddies, whatever it may be, boyfriends. We have to take accountability, and not just when we bash them and when they do wrong and we bring it to their attention. As women, I think we need to start taking accountability of our parts, but also giving them the acknowledgement when they do right, giving them the acknowledgement that, you know what, I see you. I see that you're doing something right. I see that, you're trying. I see that you've been consistent in picking up our kids. I see you've been consistent giving child support. I see you've been consistent giving our children the time, or our communication has improved. I think we need to also start praising that and acknowledging that, and let's talk about that as part of our accountability as women, that we don't just be the victim of being single parents or raising kids, but we also need to acknowledge when the men are doing the right thing. I feel that too, that should be part of accountability, to woman up and give acknowledgement. Like, you know
Yeah,
what?
I
Hey,
agree.
I see
Definitely
you.
woman up.
Yeah, woman
I
up.
like that term.
Yes, woman up, man. You got to do that. You got to woman up and say, hey, you know what? I want to let you know that even though you're, listen, and the way how I talk to my ex, to Frankie, and he can attest to it. I'm like, hey, I know sometimes you act like a douchebag and whatnot, and I kind of remind you, but I just want to let you know that I see what you're doing. I appreciate that, you know, you're there for Sanaya. I appreciate you taking it to practice. I appreciate you taking the extra steps and everything. I want to let you know that I see it. And he laughs because he knows that's how I talk. I don't mean to talk like that, but you know, that's how it comes out. But he accepts that of me. He accepts that of me, you know. But yeah, so I think that's important as well. You have to give acknowledgement. Yeah, you got to let them know when you see they're doing the right thing.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it depends on every situation, but
Yeah, you're right.
100%. And I also think it's important to take accountability on, for us being defensive too. I
Yes.
think that being defensive does play a part in relationships, whether it's friendships or,
Mm-hmm.
partners. And you have to know like when to not feel like you're being attacked in a
Mm-hmm.
conversation, because not every conversation is attacking you, right? Not every word is meant to be
I
an
agree.
attack or a bomb
Mm-hmm.
thrown at you, right? So I
Mm-hmm.
think for me, I had to learn that part too. Like I can't be defensive all the time. I have to, like take a step back and like you said, take a step back and just listen.
Yes. Yes, you have to. And sometimes you do. And sometimes you may not even see certain behaviors that you're doing because, you know, I know for myself, I was just so conditioned to just expect the worst, that when any good was happening or any trying was happening, um, I didn't acknowledge it. It went right over my head. So when I took a step back and said, you know what, let me just pause a minute and let me just see, let me just watch, let me just analyze certain behaviors and whatnot. And you know, if we as women just stop and pause sometimes, even when we think that, you know, it could be access, friendships, relationships, ex-husbands, wives, whatever the case may be. Um, at some point, both parties have to take some accountability in everything. And the minute you take the accountability and the minute you give the acknowledgement when the other part is doing the right thing, you'd be surprised how things get easier. You'd be surprised how your communication gets better. You'd be surprised how the person that you might have been butting heads with all these years starts doing more for you. See what I'm saying? You'd be surprised. So I think that if more conversations are had between parents that are trying to co-parent, failed relationships where they're at war, it can be something as simple as parent-children relationships where they may not be able to get along or communicate. You know, if both parties take accountability and stop blaming each other and try to get to a common ground, a lot of tension, animosity, ill feelings, wasted time, you can start healing, becoming better people, and living better lives. That's how I feel.
Oh my God, then we will live in a better world.
I know, and we can have hugs and kisses.
Oh, I don't know about kisses now, but hugs for sure. Oh my
But
gosh,
I
we would live
do,
in a
man,
better
listen,
world. Wouldn't
no,
that be
I do.
something?
Listen, because I totally agree in accountability. Listen, I believe in taking accountability. I know I'm gonna work on a few things when it comes to my patience. You know, my patience is like very short and limited with certain things. Working on that. But yeah, you have to, man. It's all about growth and becoming a better person and becoming a better version of you. You have to become a better version of yourself. You have to, man.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
Amen to that.
Well, on that note, we want to say thank you for listening. But before I go, I just want to read one more time the post that we're talking about for our listeners. This is what accountability looks like. All of my exes are now married, which might conclude that I've always dealt with decent quality men, but maybe I wasn't marriage material at the time, nor ready for anything that serious. I'm woman enough to think back on stuff though, see the error in my ways and change. We as women need to put our pride and arrogance to the side and try to do better versus always playing the victim and not being accountable for our crap. It will only help us. Yeah,
Awesome.
I agree. I agree.
Well, guys, let us know what you feel in the comments. Let us know what are some things that you were accountable for or that you took accountability for.
Let us know your experiences. Any experiences you may have had where it was a turning moment for you. Yeah, please share.
100%. Okay, well, until next time, y'all.
Don't forget to check out our other videos on our YouTube page and follow us on our social platforms. That's on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. We talk about a lot of stuff on there all the time. So we want to hear from our listeners. Like, share, comment, and subscribe. And we'll see you guys right here, same time, same place next week.